Hey everybody, this is Jennifer Grace. Welcome to module number 4, which is all about intuition. And I'm here with our guest master teacher, Collette Baron-Reid, who is the founder of Oracle School. She's also a best-selling author of Hay House and one of my comrades on Hay House. And she's an incredible guide around intuition and oracle cards, and she's been doing this work for how many years now, Collette?
30 years. I just turned 60 full time for 30 years.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me
So
too.
we are here on Skype because she lives in Canada and it was a little far for me to fly, although I would have. And I look forward to meeting you in person soon.
Yes, I know. It's been so great connecting outside of that.
Yes. And thank you so much for, coming on today to share kind of your perspective on, how to cultivate intuition. And also we're so excited to learn more about using oracle cards and all that they can do to kind of, I think, unlock our own intuition and really utilize that to push ourselves forward. So welcome.
Thank you so much. And I love your work. I just want to say it's an honor to be here. I don't get to say yes to a lot of the summits and because I'm too busy, and I always, really take a look and see the integrity and the quality of the work. And you are fantastic. So it's a real honor to be here and to share with your audience.
Thank you. So why don't we dive in first, just talking high level about how one can go about cultivating their intuition, instead of all this outward seeking. I always say to my students, yak, you always know, you have all the wisdom inside of you. But it's, a conundrum for some people to really get that hit and to know which, voice is the right one and what to follow. So you could talk.
Wow. Okay. So here's the deal. Every single one of us has access to intuition because it's part of our navigation system. It's been atrophied over time because of our conditioning. Ever since Newtonian physics became the concept or materialist science and this concept of separation, the idea that we can tune into an invisible world that is much like a radio that tunes into a station that's always broadcasting really was beat out of us for hundreds of years. So it's like if you haven't gone to the gym, you don't know how to exercise the muscle, or it's flabby, right? So a lot of people are confused about what intuition is and what it isn't. So if you look at the model of reality is that we are in a constant connection to the intelligent universe and to one another and to nature, etc., that there's communication going on all the time.
Yeah.
It is a definitely internal thing, but what I like to look at too is it's fine to know that, but we get very hung up on our needs to have direct relationship to a goal or an outcome. And I think, and plus fear, those are the two things that really prevent intuition, intuitive information to be accessible. So anyway, I could just keep talking. Yeah.
This is the theory, and then we can go down practically, but
Sure. I think, well, theoretically, when people so there's two things that I like to determine with people and they get all confused about that. And that is the difference between instinct and intuition. So we live in a culture that conditions us to be instinctual because that fear, chaos, conflict is what's fostered in the media, in information that is sent to us, even through algorithms on Facebook. We are constantly presented information that will, that if we pressed on something to say, oh, what happened there, that was some political thing, then all of a sudden we're going to get more and more information that supports those ideas. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we don't really get a broad spectrum of what's going on. So right now we have a culture of fear and velocity that's beyond the scope of our human potential. Like, we can't cope with all the information that's coming in. So the stress of our modern society creates that fight-flight syndrome. So you have this constant sense of, I need to be on patrol to identify the threats,
Right.
right? And so people think, and I'm going to say people, but it's just because I've seen this time and time again, where people will mistake the concept of tuning into the potential threat for intuition, because intuition doesn't acknowledge a threat. Intuition assumes that everything is perfect as it is, and that there is a broad spectrum of like, you can tune into a broad spectrum of broadcasts, if you will, and intuition also needs you to monitor your dominant energy, which is what I teach in Oracle School, that you have to actually recognize what your dominant energy is and how much attachment you have to an outcome, because then you will not be in the intuitive. You're going to be in fear and control, right? So there's either the narrowness of the instinct, and then people think, oh yeah, but I just want to tune into what my next right action is. But they don't realize that they have narrowed the scope for themselves. That when you are looking at reality creation, because that is why we want to develop our intuition. It's not just so that we can see what's around the corner in terms of, is there going to be like a gas station? It's more about really something much higher than that, is becoming more limitless and really being the best version of yourself, or many selves, because I don't believe there's only one self. So if you were to see intuition as a navigation system, to monitor your, where you are, in a way, navigating the broadcast you're listening to, right? It's like, if you tune in, you can actually tell, oh, wow, I'm really filling myself up with garbage, or I'm filling myself up with potential. And so the intuitive voice then can be curious and detached, because I really believe that that's the only way that you can explore intuition as a phenomena. It's much more of a, it's not a 3D thing. It's not a like, oh, if I can just tune in, I'm going to get this.
Right.
It's not like that. It's like a 360-degree view without judgment. It's just a, radical acceptance of information.
Mm-hmm. Right. So there's a full detachment when you're in your intuition, and you're able to not be attached to the outcome. You're able to look at what's happening and just be
And that's the work.
Observation. Yeah. And that's awareness, right? So
and that's the work. Yeah. Is how do you get to awareness from the need to control an outcome, which is right. It's like, how do you get there? So I think that, that is the total essence of our work, is to become less attached to any outcome and just kind of go for the ride. And it's very hard when we've been taught the opposite. You and I both know that we've been taught to look at linear goals, right? Oh, we're going to go here. When in fact, even time is not linear. I mean, it's a cyclical now, present thing where there's many selves and many probable realities and potential realities side by side. Even past lives aren't from behind us.
Right.
It's
They're
just
all happening simultaneously, really.
Yeah.
Right? Past, present, and future.
And who do we want to tune into? Which self? Who do we need to become? And again, this is all the stuff I teach in Oracle School, is if you want to become some other person, what did you need to change? What kind of beliefs and concepts and self-definitions, including your ancestral patterning and these stories that you've accepted about yourself, they all block your intuition to see beyond the limits that you've imposed on yourself. That kind of construct of the bubble that we call me, like, what if there's something outside that me bubble?
Right.
Right.
And it's really funny. I've never heard the distinction between instinct and intuition. That is like, you just went, it's so simple.
That's why you had me on the show.
That's why you're the expert.
That's my thing.
Like, it's like that instinct of like, even that fear of like pulling yourself back if a car is coming or something, and that fear thing is interesting. I'm curious to kind of chat with you about this.
Sure.
It's necessary. I think Elizabeth Gilbert talks about this in one of her books or something. And like, fear is necessary to not jump off a cliff.
Correct.
Pull yourself back if an oncoming car is coming. And that's our instinct, or that instinct of danger, and so that's where it serves its purpose, this instinct, this fear stuff. And it's really not to be confused with this intuition that's very neutral, that sees all
It's
events.
very neutral.
Neutral is an awareness, is not attached to how it all comes out, but it's still this compass, right? That's guiding
the GPS.
GPS of the soul. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
The guiding principle of the soul. So if you look at what she said about fear being necessary, fear is a construct of our human psyche. It was a way that we protected ourselves. And if we go back to the primitive mind, everything else shuts down, the reptilian brain wakes up, and we can't be intuitive. We don't have the luxury of stopping when our whole system thinks a brontosaurus or a Tyrannosaurus Rex is going to eat our head.
Right.
You know, we can't go, oh, I wonder what I can be curious about, what could happen. That's not possible. Yeah. The reason I brought that up, though, is we have a culture of fear. Fear is conditioned right now, everywhere you turn. Chaos, fear, outrage. I mean, it's become this sort of like background noise. And so everybody is in a level of fight flight. And so if you're going to teach people about intuition, if we're going to offer this information to them, it's really about slowing down, you know, and stepping out of that, you know, that kind of, as I say, the background noise, that din, you know, turning that radio off. It's why I tell people to do a media diet. You know, get off Facebook, get off social media. Don't just really watch how much you intake, because it's not nourishing, you know, and it's not even accurate. So I think now more than ever, right?
Yeah.
So say, for example, when somebody grows up in an alcoholic home, or a home where there's a lot of violence, they inadvertently develop their intuition because they're always on patrol. But the way intuition works then is they're always searching for a perceived threat. So, and that's one of the reasons why people say, well, you're so intuitive, you're so in tune. It's because you're always looking for a way how to survive a potentially dangerous situation.
Right.
There's a really,
it's like you're on high alert.
Yeah. I'm hyper vigilant, right? So, and I think our society right now is becoming hyper vigilant. And so, you know, I think what you're doing and what I do and what other people teach about intuition, I mean, it's a really intelligent, practical approach for people to realize, like, that's why meditation is such a key core piece of my work. I have a mastermind and people pay quite a lot of money to be in it. And if they're not willing to meditate, they don't get to stay. You know, so it's like you have to do this every single day, twice a day for X amount of time. And it really is, I think mindfulness practice is key if you're going to teach people about intuition, because you have to learn how to turn off that dial, and be playful about it, I think too. You know, it's like saying, oh, whatever. Like I always say, oh, well, that's interesting. I screwed up again. Big deal. Like, let's course correct.
Yep. Course correct. I love that. Yeah, I have in this course, my students have a prescription of 10 minutes of meditation and 5 minutes of journaling a day and mindfulness practice, because that's the foundation, like you, for everything that I do. You know, and they don't know what direction to go in, and they don't have clarity. They don't know what their purpose is. It's like you said.
Well, you just said something important.
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe if somebody is sitting there going, I don't know what my purpose is, they haven't let their purpose find them. And because you don't go finding your purpose. Purpose finds you once you move aside the debris that prevents you from being authentic. And I know that's how you coach people. You really coach them to their authenticity.
The of saying it that way, you know, it's like you don't find your purpose finds you. And if you clear the stuff, you know,
that's all our job is.
The judgments, you know, turning off the noise, being in the present moment, there it is.
Yeah. Totally. And it does arise. It's like what arises. And it arises through, I think intuition and inspiration are cousins, right? You know, so when you're inspired, it is an authentic desire as opposed to an ego desire of, I want this. Right. You know, I won't be okay unless this happens.
Yes.
I'm going to work really hard until I make this happen. I'm going to manifest this. When the truth is, it's really like, let's get inspired. And I'm going to tell you something. I did it completely ass backwards years ago. So, and I'm the walking poster child for being a master manifester, FYI, but not seeing what was in my highest good staring me in the face when I wanted it to be something else. But yet I was completely manifesting everything that I had, connected to, because when you're inspired and then your intuition follows the inspiration, and then yet when you're doggedly pursuing something else, it's kind of a weird juxtaposition. And so many people do that. Like, I just wanted to be a singer. I never wanted to be an intuitive. Hello. I was like, no. I told people the first 6 years of doing this work, I don't really do this. I'm really a singer. Right. Don't come back next year.
Yeah.
But, and I ended up with clients in 29 countries. My books are published in 27 languages. And if you think of who I thought I was when I first started this, going like, oh, I don't really do this. I don't really do this. I don't really do this. I never gave out a business card. We didn't even have internet. And I was booked like months and years in advance. And I'm like, I don't know. You guys just have to go away because I am going to have a record deal. And I failed miserably at it. And meanwhile, everything that I intuitively was so funny because it was effortless. We think it's so, I had to like bang on all those doors that wouldn't open, and effortlessly here was this career that was like everything that I really intuited, would be the right thing for me. So I think a lot of your students would probably identify with this too. I mean, you're coaching them to become a new version of themselves, right? And it's to recognize what's in front of you may not be the form that you think you're pursuing.
Yeah. I teach them in week 1, the creative process of like launching a career or an idea or writing a book. And it's not great idea success, 6 stages.
Right.
The second stage is to hit the brick wall of frustration, and then to incubate, check in with your intuition, allies, breakthrough, celebration. But the point is, I also say, if you keep hitting that brick wall of frustration, right, there should be a little bit of challenge. Not everything is, so perfect, right? But that may be the universe trying to tell you this isn't the right journey for you.
Oh, yeah.
Intuition is where you know what, in a relationship, like maybe it shouldn't be this hard, and
right.
having that distinction to know when you keep hitting the brick wall of frustration, now you've got a lump on your head. Maybe it's not part of the process. It's actually telling you to pivot. And the funny thing, my life, I was an actress. I was on track to be this big movie star, and brick wall, and I couldn't move to LA and I couldn't move to New York. I was here in Fort Lauderdale. I was co-parenting, divorced. And it was like, I had to just let go. And the second then the coaching thing came in, it was effortless. Now that doesn't mean it was easy.
No, I get it. Neither was easy for me either, but it was effortless. It was just like, I was just that.
Yes.
But it's interesting though how the self-identification, what we think we want. I mean, I did get the record deal years later, and I did record on the actual
TV show, right? So
right, I've had a TV show. Exactly, I've already had a TV show. It's like I've done all these things, and none of them changed me, which was fascinating because everything that I ever thought I wanted when I was younger, and frankly, only happened once I surrendered it. I think that brick wall, that moment of the stage of success is the surrender piece. That's where you have to let go.
You have to, and trust.
Yeah. And then it'll show you where you got to go. I had no interest in 90% of the things that ended up happening. Same with mediumship. Once I finally just said, okay, fine, I'm a medium. What is that? I don't know how many weeks later I got a television show. It's on Amazon Prime. I did 26 episodes, and I was like,
the name of it? I'm going to start.
Messages from Spirit.
Amazing.
And it's only one thing I do, but it's like intuition at its, and I would say this to your listeners or your watchers, that I think mediumship for me was the cleanest access to intuition I've ever had, because it was determined by the as good as I did. The days that I was my most accurate was when I was least interested in myself. When I was completely, one of the prayers I say is, relieve me of the bondage of self, so that I may better do thy will be done through me. you know, when
Yes.
I'm thinking of the universe, it's the bondage of self that prevents any real intuitive download, which is really nothing about the self. It's but then we have to translate it into self, right? So but it's so divested of self that when you're there, you have no attachment to whatever it is, and you can flow with it. It's a flow state. It's so I have to say that if that's all that the show did for me, it really gave me a different point of vantage through which to teach, actually, because I'll probably never do another show like that again.
I want to also make another distinction between intuition and then going into like that realm of being
That's
psychic.
totally different. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, because people are like, oh, if I'm too intuitive, what if I start seeing dead people?
Oh, no. That's
like,
not, trust me. Oh, no. That's not what I mean.
No, I know. But like, even that
You're
word,
people.
like, does that just mean you're a channel? Is it for people that crossed over, or is it just for
Yeah.
their messages? Tell me a little bit.
Well, my show is about dead people. My show is me talking to dead people.
I love it.
But I have worked as an intuitive coach, counselor, intuitive strategist for 30 years. I don't do any private sessions anymore. I only teach now. But no, that was a distinct kind of like a whole other level of that. Like there can be a lot of intuition is many things. I mean, I think people should take the fear out of it, because if you're meant to go there, you're going to go there. But you don't have to worry. Just because you're developing your intuition doesn't mean you're going to go there. Right. And I didn't want to go there. It was like, oh, no, I don't talk to dead people. No, thanks. No, I'll take a pass. And then it was like, oh, I really can't get around this. And it's really a yelling, not a calling. So your people need to relax. Nobody will be called unless it's true for them. And you're not all of a sudden going to see dead people because you're developing your intuition with Jennifer Grace, okay? You're going to have more of an intuition about what's in your highest good and how your authentic life is going to unfold for you. And that's the right use of intuition, is navigating the world that we're in, right? But no, I just happen to be that person. Because you did have me on the show, and I'm a divination expert, so all my products are about tuning into that invisible world. Yeah. But I don't teach anybody how to talk to dead people. Yeah. That's not it. It's all about personal growth and personal development for me. Yes. That just happens to be the show.
Yeah. Your TV show.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not really that much of an interest to me. I only do that for charity now. But I brought it up because it was an extreme way for me to understand that point of vantage of detachment that was so important for me to get for that I can totally translate that for anybody. If you're just at a place where you're wanting to tune into your intuition with more clarity, it's that stepping out of yourself, your wants, your needs, your narratives. And again, I don't mean to keep saying I teach this at Oracle School, but I do. It's about the narratives that we tell.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I love to show people, it's like, how you are with a friend who might call up and they've got a conundrum, a problem, something, and you listen, and all of a sudden you just have the solution, and they're like, oh my God, how could you see that? It's because you're not attached to it, right?
Exactly.
The same problem, conundrum yourself, and all the self-doubt comes up and you can't solve it, right? So that's a way to prove what you're saying. When you're not attached to it, you've got the answers.
Isn't that amazing?
Everybody else, but why not you? It's that itty bitty shitty committee, that's saying, you're talking to, don't trust yourself. And you know what I have them do, Collette? I think you'll appreciate this. I have them in the back of their journal make a YAK list. Yak, you always know. And every time they have heard that little intuitive voice say, do this or don't do this, and they didn't listen, and they went, I heard the little voice tell me to do this or not do this, write it down. And when you have 5 things, 10 things, 15 things in black and white, wow, I do know what I'm talking about. I'm just not listening, So
well, that's great. I love that. We have something similar, only a little obviously different in my school. We talk about synchronicity timelines. We look at when something happened, where your intuition was on, and you just naturally followed it. What happened, right? So, and those kind of defining moments that happen to everybody. So I love the book ending of our work. It's so cool.
Yes, for sure. That's an
Yeah.
interesting thing to like actually look at when you trusted yourself and followed your intuition, where did it go? And then maybe when you did hear the voice, didn't listen, and then,
Yeah, the two are really important because I mean, I've had the face palm a few times myself because I was so determined that I wanted what I wanted when I wanted it. And if I look back in my life, it was usually around men. So,
yeah.
I was determined that was the one. How many of the ones have I had?
You're like, I'm not going to look at this red flag waving in front of
Oh,
me.
I know. It's so pretty. Look at that pretty red flag. And your intuition, do you want to hear something hilarious? So I don't know if you ever get intuitive hits that are like audio hits, like clairaudient.
I don't.
You ever hear like a thing? Okay. So when I met my starter husband, my first husband,
Starter husband.
I was holding his hand, walking down the street, and I heard clear as a bell, "This is not your husband."
Wow.
I married him anyway, but it wasn't my husband. But it was weird. Like my whole body went into a freeze frame moment because intuition is translated to our bodies.
Yeah.
That's why you got to turn down the fight flight thing because that's in your body.
Yep.
Right? So your body is a plunk. I loved your thing because you had something similar. I teach that plunk. Like if it's true, like it's just a drop in. Intuition drops in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the feeling, so you could hear
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel it. It's just this feeling that I'm like, this don't feel
I get
good.
it in here.
Yeah.
I get it in here. The sense of like, oh, I'm thinking too much. I have to have it and la, la, la. If it's off, it goes here. And then if it's on, I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
I can relax. And then and typically, I mean, listen, I teach this, but I don't do this 100%. So, I've been waylaid by my wants. I don't know how many times. And also if you have unresolved issues, or storylines, narratives that you have about being victimized or not being able to set boundaries because you think you're going to be punished, or the whole line of potential thought processes, even though your intuition is correct, but that program is still running.
yeah.
It's more often than not, until you've really surrendered that program or you've really addressed it, either therapeutically or through coaching. I tend to not look at the story. I tend to look at the story more as a more Jungian version, which is my background. So, more archetypal than it is the actual story. And so I think that's the other thing, is to recognize you have to know yourself. That was what was at the Temple of Delphi. It wasn't like, come on in and get a psychic reading. Right. You know what I mean? It didn't say that. It said, know thyself and nothing in excess. Right. And that was for 1400 years in Greek civilization. That was the center, the god Apollo. And that whole culture believed that we could access, through these Pythia, which is the name of the oracles at Delphi, that somewhere we would have this conversation with the, with the intelligent universe. In that case, they deified it, in a pantheon of gods and goddesses and stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it was the same thing. You incubated a dream. You went there and say, I really want to know about this. And then it was like, but it always moved not about here's what's going to happen in your future, which is what everybody think intuition should be used for. And I'm like, create your future. I teach everybody. We don't predict the future. Yeah. We create the future.
Yes.
It's a waste of time.
That's an important distinction because, I know a lot of people rely on psychics or astrologers and that's great. I mean, but it's kind of like showing you the path that you're on right now, and that can change. You can shift that path in an instant.
I mean, it's a valuable service. I think astrology is a fixed system, so it gives you a fixed.
I use it, but not obsessively. Like,
oh God, I call that oracle abuse.
Yeah.
Oracle abuse.
See, but I love to pull cards.
Oh well, that's my whole world. Is I teach people how to pull cards every day.
Every day, because you know what? And then you're getting the one that just keeps showing up, and you're like, okay, I need to listen to this. Like it's free. You'll get you'll just have 20 something cards, and you just every day you're pulling one, and there's a message.
My oracle cards are created for that. So all my decks are created so that you can have a conscious contact to the conscious universe. and to have a one-on-one conversation and see yourself reflected accurately, see what's hidden, use it as a flashlight to see what you're in denial about, and also a navigation of what the next right action is. But when people go to, like, and I'll say, because listen, I made a living for 20 years and my reputation was on my predictive accuracy, and I changed it once I realized that I think that they could do more than what I'm saying. Like, what if they could, shift themselves to something greater? And so I changed, because my philosophy changed, I changed the direction of my work. But there is great value when you have somebody confirming something. But at the end of the day, that's just not my area of interest anymore. And nor is that why I created the Oracle cards. I have 11 decks now, and they're all a tool.
What's your favorite deck of yours?
Okay, well, right now is not, well, I'm going to say my favorite deck is the one I teach with in Oracle School, which is Wisdom of the Oracle. I'll show you this.
Nice.
And this one was probably my most extensive deck because it has 5 different meanings. So if I pull a card for you, may I have permission?
Yes.
Yeah? Want to do it on your TV show?
Yes.
Okay. So what do we need to know about that? Like, that's how you ask a question is show me a reflection of where I'm at right now with the show.
Do you want me to say something specific?
No. That I'm telling you the question. Okay. So just tune into what do I need to know, because it's going to be too intimate if I do that. So what can the universe show me and reflect about what's going on in the show right now?
Let's do that.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to pull a card for you. Oh, this is so great. Of course, because we're teaching about intuition, it's deep knowing. You came into this. So let me tell you the story about deep knowing. So deep knowing, now in the booklet, I tell everybody to read the booklet because it's so extensive. So intuition, listening to the Oracle within.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We can't make this.
No, you can't make this shit up. Sorry, kids. Intuition is the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with Source, the consciousness that you are a part of, but cannot see with the naked eye. It's perplexing that people are taught to ignore this natural capacity to navigate their journeys, to access their inner guidance. Know that you have an ability to read between the lines and find all the truth that was missing when the story was told. This deep knowing allows you to open the door to wisdom far greater than what is available in the limitations of human experience. You're given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind or 5 senses, but which is 100% correct and true. The trick is to listen and then to act accordingly. You're now invited into the sacred dialogue of deep knowing, so tune in and trust your vibes. They'll be right. Ask and you will receive answers from unusual sources. But hang on one sec. Wait till you hear this. So that was the general message. So this is about your show, the prosperity message, because I have relationship message, general message, prosperity message, protection message when they're upside down. This is a time when your hunches will pay large dividends. If you listen to them, take the risk and act. Within you is an oracular consciousness, a higher and deeper knowing that transcends the machinations of the smaller thinking mind. At the deep level of your intuitive senses, you have an access point to the genius of the collective. The energies of all thinkers and creators, all inventors and leaders, and all that you need in order to leap into success are available to tune into now. This is an act of listening intently. Past the busy mind, your genius awaits.
Wow.
So
I just can't believe we pulled that card.
I know.
Intuition. And it's like,
but it's how your show, it's about your show. It's also that you've just intuitively, without any attachment, fell into it. You let go the whole attachment on being an actress because you thought in your mind, the invitation, which was your inspiration, saw you on camera.
Yeah.
But you never thought it was going to be this kind of show.
No.
But it is.
It is. And like, even in asking it, the question, like, okay, let's ask about my show. There's just no doubt that my head is down right now, and I actually have absolutely no attachment
right
to where the show lands, right? Is it going to be on Amazon like yours, or Facebook Watch, or Bravo TV? Like, nor do I even care.
Right. That's why.
Young girl, like, this is just joyful play for me. I have my business. You know what I mean? This is joyful play. And I just feel like I'm just going to be following my hits and like, nope, this isn't, oh, nope, let's go over here. And just, it's going to be.
And can I tell you something? You just gave a nugget of gold to who's watching this, because it is crucial that we wear the world loosely around our shoulders. Yeah. Crucial. And what you're showing, you're modeling that for people. It's like we have to be hootless. As much as it feels like, oh, I want this. No, it's like, I'm just enjoying this. And that's how life is supposed to be. That's the reality creation at its finest.
Yeah.
The correct form of your dream is showing up now in your life.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
And I did that, you know, it was funny, like when you're manifesting love, you know, like, oh, I need him to be tall, dark, handsome, drive this car, you know, and people like, be super specific.
Yes, specific.
And I'm like, well, I just manifested like the essence of his being, you know.
Me too. I get it.
Creative, loyal, loving, spontaneous, fun. Now, he did happen to show up very tall, dark, and handsome, but you know, what if short, chubby, and hilarious showed up? I would have looked over the love of my life's head.
I totally get it. I only dated dark, swarthy, like Italian or Jewish or Moroccan kind of guys.
Yeah.
My husband is a spitting image of Viggo Mortensen. Like, he's blonde, he's blue-eyed. Oh no. And when I met him, and he was a model and an actor, I was like, oh my God, you're way too pretty for me.
Right.
But I mean, he's stunning. I wake up in the morning, I look at him going, oh my God, I get to wake up to you. And then
I feel like I'm in bed with a Calvin Klein model. I'm like, no clue. He's like, quit it. Like, he is so humble, like does not know how hot he is. And
my husband too, no idea. Women stare at him and he doesn't even notice. I love that. But you know what's the truth? What you just said again, here's some golden nuggets for your people, is that the essence, it's like I surrendered to the essence, and I actually gave up the form. I was like, well, maybe that's not the right one for me. And my husband is, I don't know, I've never dated an unattractive man, and that's just kind of, the universe would never send me short, dark, and chubby, I don't think. But actually, no, that's not true. I did date a guy like that, and he was pretty hot, actually, after a while. But the one I have now is not about his looks. He's kind, he's respectful, he's super smart and creative. He's somebody, and he's very self-respecting, and I respect him. So, and we've never ever said shut up to the other one in 16 years. Never. We've never been
to a bicker or an argument in 4 years. Never.
Oh, that's amazing. We love him. He's a keeper.
He's a keeper. He's such a good man. But so let's get a little more practical. So meditation is key.
Meditation is key.
I think drawing oracle cards daily.
If you can develop a practice where you're not looking for the future, you're just looking at what's my energy today, what's in my highest good. It always has to be for the highest good, right? So you're not looking at just what's there, because you get a different card. But what do I need to know today to stay in alignment with my highest purpose? That's it. And if you develop that, I mean, people can go to my website at ColletteBaron-Reid.com/pick and just choose cards for free. I did want to, before we go, because I do want to show one thing that's coming up in not till October, and I know this is time sensitive, but your people can hang in there. This just came. Ooh, it's upside down. The wisdom, where is it? The wisdom, the spirit animal oracle. I know if it's backwards, but I'm going to pull one card for everybody on the, so this is a way to do this. So what does everyone on Jennifer Grace's special course need to know for their highest good? And what spirit animal is presiding over your course? Okay. What is it that they're doing? So I'm going to choose a card on your behalf and everybody's behalf. Oh, and it's Rhino Spirit. Look.
Ooh.
It's overcome any obstacle.
That's what this course is about.
Right? Isn't that wild? It's like, and I'll just read it to you. Rhino, where is it? PQRS, because finally I've decided to do this in alphabetical order. It says, we always have the choice to press ahead. Rhino spirit strength and offers you the power to break through stubborn obstacles. This animal spirit knows that there is more than one way to open a path to what you seek. When Rhino spirit appears, you are reminded you have a marvelous ability to overcome obstacles in multiple ways, by going around them, shattering them with the force of clear, deliberate intentions, or even transforming them into clouds that drift away by refusing to allow them to limit you. Apply your Rhino spirit with creativity, and no obstacle can stand, for you have magic to make and many ways in which to make it. Your power is awesome now. Rhino spirit lastly wants to remind you that when an obstacle appears to prevent you from getting what you desire today, it means that something better is coming. Keep that in mind when you consider the nature of the obstacle in front of you now. Great Spirit loves you so much and only wants the best for you.
I mean, this course is about removing obstacles, you're unstuck. The whole thing is unstuck, and it's about cultivating creativity.
Well, like, there you go. I couldn't have made this up.
You can't make this up. And I have them on their first journey to think of a spirit animal that can guide them. So.
Oh, great. Well, they should get my deck. You can get this.
I'm getting right on Amazon and ordering.
Well, this is, by the way, already available if you have an iPhone. It's an iPhone app. Yeah. So, right. So your people can download an iPhone app. It's not on Android, unfortunately. Hay House didn't develop them for that yet, but it works just as good as having the cards in your hands. And we'll have them up to test in a couple of months. But if they're interested now in finding out their spirit animal, this can help them. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I want to ask you one more question.
Yes.
Do you have any anything to say around food, alcohol, and like, do you follow any?
Honey, I wrote a book called Weight Loss for People Who Feel Too Much on empathy overload. That was a best-selling book of mine I did with Random House. Yes, I have lots to say about it. You got to trust your body, what works for you. I was a vegan and a vegetarian for 5 years, but then I got sick. And so I had to start eating animal products. Yeah. And so I only eat humanely raised, like I need to know from the farm they come from. We don't touch anything that's factory farmed. Right. So it's really important to know where your food source comes from. Sugar is the worst thing for intuition. And anyway, it's the period. It's just poison. Yeah. So, you just, whatever works for your body, just remember that sugar is dangerous. Alcohol, I'm sober, clean and sober 33 years. So you're asking an alcoholic. So I say, don't drink.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm going to be biased on the drinking piece.
Yeah. It is amazing. Like the clarity that you have when you eat lighter, no sugar, less of those GMO grains, and limit the intake of alcohol. It's incredible how many more downloads
totally.
Yeah. Well, thank you so
much. You're great. Thank you. And I apologize for talking over you a couple of times, but that's how it is. It's like we were raised in this European family where everybody yacked at the same time, and I'm really like, oh, stop it.
No, it was fabulous, and I'm just so excited for my students to really get to know you and learn more about you and check out your Oracle School and your cards. And we're going to go directly to your website so they can see all your goodies. And thank you so much, Collette.
Oh, I love you, Jennifer.
I love you.
Bye.